Good Sunday. Thanks for tuning in with Gulf Coast Weather Solutions meteorologist Johnny Lively. We're going to do a quick little video regarding Tropical Depression number 2. You can see it is a healthy looking spin that it has. Still has in the mid to upper levels some dry air getting into the center. So we're not seeing this thing really rapidly intensify by any means. But you do see lots of bubbling and some showers and thunderstorms going on with it. But again, here is that track for Tropical Depression number 2. Thanks for a sponsor of TAMCO. Hellgar Beyond Class 4, what's going on. So between now and Wednesday, we really don't expect this to 100% get its act together. It's going to be a slow organization here. But you can see, again, by looking at the satellite presentation that we were just looking at, you can see some pretty decent spin. And we've got the convection, we've got the showers and thunderstorms. We know we've got lots of moisture. So between now and getting into Wednesday, this is slowly going to go northwest. By Wednesday morning, this gets near the New Orleans, just south, really is that Mobile kind of region. You'll see where this will be. And then the big question is, by the time we get into Thursday, more so into Friday, does this ride the coastline as it tracks westward? Or does it go more so offshore? And that's what we're seeing here from this cone. How far south does it go? Because the more south that it is, the better chance that this can get some slow strengthening. And I'm not going to rule out a chance this could be a hurricane if it is further offshore like that. But if it rides further along the coast, this would be lopsided, and it would be more so a rainmaker, a lopsided. And a lot of this would likely be the convection on the southern side and on the west side versus where we typically see it on the eastern side, because we'll talk more on that again in just a second. By the time we get into Friday, getting into Saturday, this is not what we really want to see for the Lone Star State, especially out towards the west. This could be a very bad situation. I mean, the lakes, everything is full. They just had flash flooding, 20 to 30 inches of rain. They don't need anything tropical by any means going into their general region. So we really have to continue to keep watching this. Right now, I don't want to say we're keeping the forecast now until Wednesday, but a lot of uncertainty really is going on after Wednesday, because how far south is this, or is this riding the coast? So let's kind of keep breaking this down of what's going on. Here's our futurecast by Switch Electric. You can see where that area of broad low pressure is, that tropical depression number 2. We're going to watch really the next 24 to 48 hours. It's not going against a bunch of wind shear right now. Wind shear is light to somewhat moderate, you could actually say. So if this actually does get a little bit better organized, I don't think wind shear is going to be that big of a problem down the somewhat road if it stays further southward, offshore. But you can see here we are today getting into Monday. This stays just offshore Florida. This stays south of Alabama. And by the time this gets into Tuesday into Wednesday, you can see that this is really going towards the New Orleans region. Now, Wednesday afternoon, we've got that area of high pressure towards the southern plains. This is what is going to make this, I think, no matter what, have to go westward. The flow for this high is going to bring this westward into this general region. It really has nowhere else to go. You also have this weak frontal boundary, so any moisture that we're getting from this system is all going to be shoved towards really the coastline, the Gulf Coast. So from all the way from Corpus Christi, Houston, New Orleans, all the way into Florida this week, middle to end of the week, all of this moisture is going to be shoved into this region. And again, what we want to watch by the time we get into Wednesday, especially Thursday, and as we get into Friday, just like the cone was showing here, where exactly is this system going to be? Is it going to be somewhat riding the coast as a rainmaker, or will this be further offshore and it could be somewhat more organized? It really kind of depends on how the state is really the next 24 to 48 hours. Does this kind of want to develop a center? We have recon actually going in. It's 12 o'clock. Recon will be getting in around 2 to 3 o'clock this afternoon. And they're going to continue doing these recon missions, which helps all of our model data, and we can get a lot better handle on this. But I think at the end of the day, we know that this moisture is coming westward. You can see this on the rainfall total sponsored by Silsby Ford. Lots of heavy rain, really on the Florida coastline. You can see it on the northern coast, but lots of it offshore. The question is how far north does this go? Does it get closer to the coastline? As of right now, I know this model doesn't do a really good job of just showing this, but from today to Wednesday, from New Orleans all the way to Panama City and even into the Gainesville, Florida, 4 to 6 inches of rain is likely, with some isolated areas getting heavier amounts. Now, By Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, this moisture can start getting into parts of southeast Texas and especially southwest Louisiana. And then as we extend this into Thursday and Friday, you can see that this continues to move westward. Lots of uncertainty. What is the state of this system? How strong is it? How lopsided is it? Is it further right along the coastline, or is it well, offshore? Lots of questions that we really want to continue to keep watching. Don't really like showing these, but I just kind of want to show the short term. Won't use this model as we get into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Just doesn't handle it good, but just trying to show that you see the broad area spin, you see the showers and the thunderstorms, the locally heavy rainfall in sections of Florida and the eastern Gulf Coast states, but you see that it really kind of, you have these big bursts. They blow up in the morning, somewhat in the evening. Here we go. So you can see it's got pretty good spin, lots of good spin. Then you can see the showers and thunderstorms that really burst. That's the potential for some locally heavy rainfall in this regions. And then you can see that it continues to get westward. Now, again, one thing I was showing that this could be very lopsided. A lot of the heavy rain could be further south. Don't see this being east into the northeast like typically we see with the tropical systems. This would be shoved further southward, all of the heavy rain. So again, we really have to watch the track, because by the time we get into Tuesday, getting into Wednesday, this will push closer towards the eastern Louisiana region. Lots of deep tropical moisture shoving in these regions. Locally heavy rainfall is possible. And then again, just lots of uncertainty for the track down the road. I know we all want answers. I certainly do too. But just lots of uncertainty of what happens after really Wednesday. Does this ride the general coast and it stays more of a rainmaker, which we don't want to deal with that either? Or does this go more so offshore, and this has the potential to slowly get better organized? It's not dealing with the land interaction. It does have to deal with some dry air and wind shear, but really the next 24 to 48 hours, how organized does it get? I don't think that the medium to long term could be a problem. We just got to see what it does in the short term. But some big questions. Is this a coast rider system that goes from the New Orleans region to Houston from Wednesday to Friday, or does this go more so offshore, and can it get a little bit better, organized? But once again, let's go look at the satellite imagery. You can see it is got pretty good spin to it. Looks pretty healthy. Center is not very well defined by any means. Again, recon will get there about 2 to 3 o'clock this afternoon. We'll see what exactly they do find. You can see some mid to upper levels still getting some of that dry air, and you can kind of see it right here, still kind of getting into the system, but it's still pretty healthy. You can see some lots of bubbling, lots of convection, and it does have, again, that pretty decent broad area of spin. We're going to see how organized this really gets. I was kind of thinking that by Saturday into Sunday, this would kind of get into Florida, and that was really going to be the end with this. But all weekend long, this is kind of sat in this general region, and it looks like it's just kind of hang out offshore and slowly get its act together. So something we do need to watch, something we're going to continue watching. Thanks again for tuning in to our little quick update, even though it wasn't too quick. But we're going to have more updates throughout the rest of the day today. Lucas will have his evening video later this evening, and then we're going to have lots of posts throughout the next couple of days. And again, remember, if this goes to areas like west and the hill country, this is the last thing they want to deal with after they just got 20 to 30 inches of rain. So, and you can see this is exactly what the cone of uncertainty means. This system can easily make landfall right here and then just go over here. None of this is an issue for us. That is what the cone of uncertainty is saying. It can go in this region. There's the northern section of it. And then here's the second scenario, that by Wednesday morning, it's near New Orleans. This continues riding the coast. It's a rainmaker, and it never really gets its act together, but it does become a big rainmaker. And then here's a third option. How far south does it go? That's what this cone is really kind of showing. Again, this is a very large cone. This is like a cone from 2005. Very high uncertainty. You can see the short term, there's not that much uncertainty, but it greatly goes pretty high once we get into Wednesday. Lots of uncertainty where this will be, what's the state that it will be at, and then we just kind of got to go from there. So that's the latest with Tropical Depression number 2. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We're going to have lots of updates throughout the rest of the day, especially this upcoming week.